We'll now define a sequence of random variables psi k as follows. Psi 1 would be first you look at the length of the first excursion followed by the first excursion itself. So in other words, you look at the first excursion and attach its length along with it. Okay, so that gives you the random variable psi 1. Now, of course, the length of this vector is random. The number of components that I mean. So the number of components of this vector is exactly alpha 1 plus 1. Why? Because plus 1 is coming from this component, and then the rest there are alpha 1 many components. Of course, alpha 1 is also equal to the first return time in this case. So tau y1. So therefore, it's tau y1 plus 1 as well. Now, in other words, if alpha 1 is 10, this is a vector of length 11. On the other hand, it's possible that alpha 1 is infinite. The first return time is infinite, in which case this is an infinite length vector. Suppose it's a finite length vector, okay? Suppose the first return time is finite. On that event, we define second element of this sequence, psi 2, to be the same thing about the second excursion. What you do is look at the second excursion length followed by the second excursion itself. Of course, the second excursion is well defined because this is finite. Only on this event this is well defined. Again, the same comment applies. The length of this vector, or rather the number of components in this vector, is alpha 2 plus 1. These are alpha 2 many elements, the alpha 2 many components, and this is one more, so that's alpha 2 plus 1. In particular, if alpha 2 is infinite, which would be the case if the second return time is infinite, then we are looking at an infinite length vector. We can just go on doing this, and then on the event that the first n return times are well defined and finite, we can define n plus 1th element of this sequence, psi n plus 1, which is the vector whose first component is the length of the n plus 1th excursion, followed by the n plus 1th excursion. Again, same comment applies. This is a vector of with number of components, alpha of n plus 1 plus 1. So it's 1 plus alpha n plus 1. And it can be infinite. So if tau I of n plus 1 is infinite, then the length can be infinite. Okay. Now these are a bunch of random variables that we defined. It's basically we just attached the length of the excursion with the excursion itself. We'll actually show that even attached with the length, the excursions are IID. In the sense that not only that the excursions are IID, if you attach the excursion with the lengths are IID as well. So the lengths are IID and the lengths are all independent of the next excursion. So alpha 1 is independent of the next excursion. Alpha 2 is independent of the all the future excursions and so on. Okay. In fact, alpha 2 would be independent of the previous excursion also and so on. So in other words, these random variables, which gives the length of the excursion followed by the excursion, these random variables are IID in some sense, in a suitable sense. Now, of course, what do I mean by suitable sense? That has to be made precise. In particular, you see this sequence is not even well defined always. The n plus 1th component is well defined provided first n return times are finite. Right? So therefore we have to make that more precise. Anyway, so before making it precise, let's go back to our example and see what this sequence is going to give us. So in our situation, I was 0. And the first excursion, remember, was 1, 0. We attach with the length of the excursion, that is 2 in this case. The first excursion length is 2. Alpha 1 is 2. So therefore, psi 1 is 2, 1, 0. This 2 is just alpha 1, then followed by the excursion, which is 1, 0. Similarly, psi 2 would be, first you look at the length of the excursion. In this case, it's 6 minus 2, which is 4. 6 is the second return time. 2 is the first return time. So alpha 2 is 6 minus 2, which is 4. 4 followed by 1, 2, 1, 0. Okay? And so on. So now it's clear what these random variables are. So on the event that the first n return times are finite, the n plus 1th element of this sequence is just alpha n plus 1, which is the length of the n plus 1th excursion, which is also tau I n plus 1 minus tau I n, comma the excursion, the n plus 1th excursion. We will show that this sequence is IID in a suitable sense. But before we can even think of stating what it means, you have to first understand what space this sequence takes values in. In other words, what would be the space in which this will be IID? Okay? And the answer is very simple. The answer is this is the space. So remember, I have talked about this already. If the length of the n plus 1th excursion is k, then you have k many elements after that from S. So when it is k, this is taking value from k, the singleton k, Cartesian product S power k. So this part is coming from S power k. When this is k, this part is coming from S power k. This is true for every positive integer k. So that will give you this union. On the other hand, it's possible this is infinite. I've told you repeatedly. Even though the first n return times are finite, n plus 1th return time can be infinite. Therefore, this would become infinite. And in that case, this part is taking value in S infinity. Each of them is a state, right? Each of them is some state. So therefore, this entire thing is taking value in infinity processing. So therefore, if you take the union of all of these, including infinity here, this is the space in which these random variables are taking values in. Okay? So in other words, what I'm saying is if this takes the value 10, then this guy is taking value in 10 cross S power 10. On the other hand, if this is infinity, then this random variable is taking value is infinity cross S power infinity. Okay. So you take union of all of these, that is the space in which we have to work in. Here is the theorem. Now we are in a position to state the theorem. You fix the state I and start the Markov chain at I. Okay, so your x0 is taking value I with probability 1. And that, in order to stress that, we'll always use the probability pi. That will stress that we are starting at I. Now suppose m be a positive integer such that under the probability pi, the first m return times to I are finite with positive probability. Now this is an assumption. This may not happen. Okay. Under this assumption, if this happens, then since this probability is positive, we can condition with respect to this probability. Look at the conditional probability under this event, which has positive probability. Therefore, this conditional probability is well defined. So denote it by pi hash. In other words, for any event A, pi hash of A is just the conditional probability under pi of A given that the first m return times are finite. Okay, this is well defined because of this assumption here. note that since now under this probability pi hash, all of these are finite with probability 1 under this new probability. Okay, all of the first m return times are finite with probability 1. Therefore, psi1, psi2, all the way up to psi m are well defined. We can say that under this probability pi hash, psi1, psi2 up to psi m are IID random variables taking value in this space E. Okay? This is the statement of the theorem. Now, of course, this statement may look very complicated because of this conditional probability there. But note that this is important because without this conditional probability, the sequence psi1 up to psi m are not even well defined. Note that this statement is only about the first m elements of the sequence, psi1, psi2 up to psi m. I'm not talking about a psi m plus 1 or anything after that. That's because under this probability pi hash, psi up to psi m is well defined. Psi m plus 1 may not be well defined. Okay, so therefore we can only talk about psi1 up to psi m, and they are IID taking values in E. Okay. Now this, of course, is complicated, but in the most useful case, this won't be so complicated in the sense that the most useful case is the case when the Markov chain is actually irreducible and it's recurrent. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, let's not go into the definition, but it will imply that for every state I and for every positive integer m, this probability and starting from I of the first m return times being finite will be 1. So all of these probabilities are not just positive, they're all going to be 1. And therefore, this conditional probability would be same as the unconditional probability pi. So pi hash and pi are going to be the same. And in that situation, this is the most useful situation. This is where we are actually going to use the dissection principle. And in this situation, the entire sequence psi1, psi2 is going to be well defined. Okay, and it's going to be a sequence of IID e-valued random variables under this probability pi. So starting from I, this excursions attached with its length, this entire sequence will be well defined, and they're going to be IID. Provided, of course, the Markov chain is irreducible and recurrent. Now we'll come back to what this means in a future slide, in a future lecture. Okay, so not today, but just remember that this implies this. So whenever this probability is 1, that's the most useful case. And for every state I and for every m positive integer, and in that case, pi hash is just pi, and under pi, this I is then an IID sequence. And very important corollary, therefore, is that in general, under pi hash, alpha 1, alpha 2 up to alpha m are IID random variables. So this is alpha 1, this is alpha 2, this is alpha m. These are IID random variables. So the excursion lengths, first excursion length, second excursion length, all the way up to mth excursion length there are IID under pi hash. Of course, alpha m plus 1 may not be well defined, so therefore we are not going to talk about that. But these are going to be IID because these are just the first components of whatever were IID before. So therefore, it's a trivial corollary of the state. Now again, in the case when the Markov chain is going to be irreducible and recurrent, in which at this situation just means that for each state I and for each positive integer m, this probability is going to be 1. In that case, the statement will hold under pi. So in this case, alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. are IID under pi, under the probability pi. And as I said, this is going to be the most useful situation. And that's why we are going to use the dissection principle and its corollary a lot.